My name is Germana Ravanelli. I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist, a mind-body healer, a personal trainer, a nutritional therapist. I was taught that health is harmonizing the body, the mind, and the spirit. Hello, thank you for opening up this video. My name is Germana Ravanelli. I come to you from Vancouver Island, British Columbia. And this is a fourth video in a four-part series on anti-aging strategies, how to support people or how to give people that want help tips, strategies, and tools to reduce the markers of aging, wear and tear, and stress. And this one is specifically on boundaries. I personally think boundaries are probably one of the most difficult self-care tools for people to utilize, because what it requires is, number one, knowing who you are, what your needs are, when something's wrong, how to self-check, am I considering my own needs? We live in a world that is so fast-paced with so many moving parts that it's not something that we can actually sustain. All of the digital world and all of the distraction with the digital world, and then responding and reacting and all of that, it basically is like putting a taser to a part of your body and trying to manage it, and then you put the taser down and you keep doing that. And there's a cost to that. Number one, person doesn't feel safe. They're in their head all the time. They're not in their belly or their body, and they're always thinking. And hard part about that is the mind is designed usually to protect us from something that can go wrong. And if nothing is really going wrong, it will manufacture something. So we have something to be afraid of, or something to attack, or something to defend. And, you know, one of the obvious places that you'll see that is online. You'll see all these people character assassinating each other, people asking strangers for advice that strangers should not be offering, because that person doesn't know how to get that need met with a human being face to face. So a boundary is having a line to say, I'm comfortable with this, I'm not comfortable with that. Also, it's a way that we protect ourselves. Like, we have a boundary by having a door on our house that's locked, and the lock means only people that we want in can come in, and that protects us technically. The same thing can be said for how our mind will work, because our mind, unfortunately, in my experience, I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist, so I help reprogram, deprogram, and help people let go of belief systems that keep them really stuck. Belief systems that will basically destroy their life if they don't release it. I call it the blackberry bush. That many of us will have something that says, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, blah, blah, blah. I must earn my love by doing a lot, and that is not having a boundary with self. So our mind will often offer us ideas up that say, today's a good day, or today's a bad day, or because it's raining, it's a bad day. And that is an intellectual, mental boundary. And if we ask ourselves, is that true? Am I going to allow that thought to run my theme of my movie, being my life is my movie? Then we have the ability to actually have far more power as a human being. As an example, my mind, if I'm not really taking care of myself and being calm and quiet, will try to do more in a day than is realistic. And that is a bit of a trauma response. So being able to see, I'm going to do 3 things today for my physical health, or 3 things today for my business health, or 3 things today for calmness. Those are little boundaries, but not making it good, bad, right, wrong. Just saying, today I'm going to do these 3 things. Most people don't have that type of inner process. They don't have that kind of discipline. They just keep reacting to whatever the world throws at them. And one of the teachers that I had, she's passed, but she said, when people are in their right mind, meaning they're not in fear, their right mind, meaning they can see things from a different perspective, and they're not assuming that their mind is telling them the truth. They're in a witness perspective. So a boundary around our thoughts, I think, is super important. One of the questions that I love to ask people, because they'll say stuff and I'm like, do you have any evidence that is actually true. And they might have emotion, means the subconscious has been triggered. So there's emotion, and then the mind needs to make meaning out of that. So then it will come up with all of these things. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Most of the stuff that our mind says is not true. It's an old, outdated story, usually from our childhood scripts or our childhood wounds. So a boundary with self is checking, is that true? When I'm vulnerable, I definitely are more vulnerable to think things that are not true, and I'll actually hurt myself by believing them. And then I go, wait a minute, that's not true, and it's gone. So that's just one little example of me being vulnerable, telling the truth. And also, telling the truth is a boundary. This doesn't feel good to me. I don't like this. There's often people will go, on some stupid post, how do you tell people that it's time to leave? If they're at your house, and you just say, this is the time that I go to bed. It's a nice way of saying it's time for you to go. A lot of people don't speak up because they're trying to be nice, but the price of being nice is sickness. If we don't listen to what our needs are, our physical needs, our emotional needs, our intuitive needs, our spiritual needs, then we start to defrag and we become unwell. And I think it's really important to ask if your mind comes up with a thought or manufactures a crisis, because that's kind of what we do. That's why we need therapy. And you ask yourself, what is the price of this thought? If it's going to bring me joy, like, is it a nice thought? People like me, I have people that I can trust. Or is it a thought that the world's a bad place and people are mean and they take advantage of me? Both of those are very easy thoughts to create. But which one do you, if you wanted to have a thought like that, whatever thought you brought up, how is that going to make you feel? And what's the price to your physical health? If you create a pattern in your morning is the best time, just to say, I'm surrounding myself with something that allows me to feel calm. It can be a color, it can be a light, just surrounding your body. What that does is it now gives you a little bit of space for your immune system and your nervous system to calm down. And then one of the best boundaries, I think, is getting away from our phones. I was away for a week in Mexico, and what I learned about me, I'm far too sensitive sometimes. It is why I'm good as a helper. The first 3 days, I didn't have access to my cell phone or the internet unless I went to a spot for the free Wi-Fi. And what I realized is how that had contaminated my ability to have a real healthy relationship with myself and my own needs. So I read a lot, I journaled a lot, I sat and listened to the ocean a lot, and I realized how precious having nothing to respond to really is. And I know in the world that we live in, that's not realistic. But what happens if you gave yourself an hour in the morning that you just said, I'm not responding or reacting to a cell message, a text, an email, and you just let that be your hour, your powerful hour that you just fill yourself up with love. I'll often, this is kind of woo-woo, because I do woo-woo, I'll envision this beautiful ball of light above my head that just rains love, beads into my body, and my body is bathed in love. Now, even if I can't see that, I can feel the effects of that. That's a boundary about me feeling loved, instead of trying to get a stranger to go, I like you. That's so simple, and yet most of us don't realize how powerful we are. We've not been taught to use our spiritual energy or our soul energy to create a better life. And if you're in a healing or helping field, if you're a teacher, you're a healer. If you're an empath, you're also a healer. And if you're an intuitive, you're also a healer. But most of us that are in those categories have empathy for other people at the cost of our own cell tissue. And what that causes is an illness. So as an example, if you feel sad for someone, you can softly send them a prayer, but you can also bring that awareness back to yourself and say, I'm so sorry that you're so sensitive, that it hurts to see this person or the situation in pain. Because the reality is we can't rescue people. We need to rescue and manage our own health, which is a boundary with ourselves. So when we're out there working in this world, we're actually topped up. We're not fragmented. And one of the most powerful boundaries is, number one, is this thought true? Because I would beg you to, really look for the evidence. And my experience is most of what our brain tells us is garbage. You have to go with your intuition. What does my intuition tell me? And to create a space that you want to be in. Is your home welcoming to you? Is your bedroom welcoming to you? Is your bed clean? Do you feel loved when you go into your bedroom? That's a boundary. Eating real food, not synthetic food, that's a boundary, and that protects and preserves your body. Whatever we do daily to our body and our thoughts and our home and our finances basically creates your life. So if you understand the power of your choices and you were to say, what would my future self like in 3 months? And then you start planning today. What can I do today, this week, this month that will allow me to have that? That's you actually creating a life that you want to be in instead of letting everything else take priority. I'm sorry for people that have a lot of children. They have to have time for those children. My child's grown up. I still have a relationship with my child. I made self-care super important. And what that meant to me was meditation in the morning. Light a candle, meditate, journal, have my coffee, start my day. And my one teacher, who has also passed away, said, if you really want to help people, you must do your own inner work every day. And I didn't understand the power to that. And decades later, I'm like, wow, was that ever a powerful gift he gave me? Because he taught me that I was worth taking the time for. It was my responsibility to take time for myself. He would look at me, hold me by the hand. Germana, are you ready to take responsibility for your life? And you can't look at somebody who's holding your hand and say no. You know that they're actually giving you a way out of your own hell. And so having a boundary with yourself is saying, I'm willing to take responsibility for my life, whatever that means. And it's simple, it's granular. Exercise is important. Real strength training, if you strength train, in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s and all of that, what you'll see is a body that looks and acts very, very different as you hit 50 and 60. You'll look different than someone your same age, for sure, with clothes on, but you look very different with clothes off because your body has been asked to keep its lean muscle mass. So it's, visually, wow, big deal, but you will actually get 20 better years out of your physical body. And that's by having that as part of your practice of self-care. Real, clean drinking water, critical. Real food, critical. One of the things that I've been starting to do, and I'm not a big diet faster, I just like to eat food that's real, but I've been starting to integrate one 24-hour window on the weekend where I'm not eating food. I'm drinking my coffee if I want it. I'm having tea if I want it, water with lemon. But what it does, it gives my body a bit of a break, and I'm not so invested in food for some reason. And I think that's kind of a nice little thing to do, because what I've learned is that I usually feel really, really great that day because I'm not distracted by thinking about food. I might nap more. The next day I feel calm and I'm not so invested in food. I'm definitely not going to starve to death. Most of us are not going to starve to death. We're usually carrying a little bit of extra weight. And what it does is it resets your metabolism and it gives your pituitary gland the message to put out more of your natural growth hormone, which keeps you younger. I hope that there's something here that inspires you. Number one is realize that you matter, that your needs matter. You're further ahead to not assume that what your brain says is worth listening to. Not that you shouldn't, but it usually will stack stuff. You'll achieve something and it'll go, what about this and this and this? And it'll keep you chasing it. And eventually you just get tired and you burn out. And then you get sick as a way of saying no. So part of this series is about recognizing that you considering your own needs is the wisest thing you could ever do and integrate on a regular basis. If you're not feeling well, ask yourself, am I considering my own needs? And for women, this is critical because most of us are running around fixing and helping, but we forget about ourselves. And the cost of that is sickness and wicked markers of stress, like age on fire. You can't live in fear and anxiety and not have it burn out your system. It does burn out your system. Anyway, thank you for watching. This next February will be about meditation. There'll be some really great stuff about how to reprogram your subconscious mind, which is the part of us that's responsible for our emotions, our beliefs, our relationships, our behaviors, all of that. So I hope that if you haven't subscribed, that you do, and that you enjoy the ones that are coming in February. Thank you.